Hey everybody, Movie Reviewer Next Door here, and I'm back with another review. And this time I am finishing the original three Shaft films with Shaft in Africa on this three Blu-ray set, which I'll mention the quality of them in a little bit. But this is an action adventure film from 1973, directed by John Guillermin, and it stars Detective, excuse me, stars Richard Roundtree, Frank Finlay, Vanetta McGee, and Neda Arnerik. In the film, Detective John Shaft travels incognito to Ethiopia. Let me adjust that camera. Uh, then France to bust a human trafficking ring. So, what did I think of Shaft in Africa? Well, this is the most enjoyable one so far for me. I actually really liked it. Um, it seemed it somehow in a movie where there's literal slavery in it, which is as on the nose as you can get with a movie that's talking about black issues, and it's run by a white guy. Again, he's German, but still a white guy. Um, it's surprisingly the least racial in the dialogue of all of them somehow, and it didn't bother me as much as the others, but yeah. Let me get to the cast. Richard Roundtree plays John Shaft. He does a great job, actually. I think this is the best he is in all three films. He's a, a fun character. He knows exactly when to throw a joke, and there are some moments where he is actually doing pretty good at some dramatic acting. Frank Finlay plays Vincent Amafi. He's the owner of this human trafficking slash slavery ring. He does a pretty good job. He is kind of over the top, but it's at least fun over the top where I actually buy him being menacing. Vanetta McGee plays Aleme, who is basically a woman that's Shaft falls in love with. I liked her. She had some pretty decent moments of acting. She's been in a lot of other films. She was in Blackula. She was the girl in Eiger Sanction, I think. Yeah, I remember her being good in that, even if I'm not the biggest fan of that movie. Uh, and Neda Arnerik as Hazar. She's fine. And really, this film is quite a bit different from the first two in that it goes more for kind of a. It's more of a widespread journey than the others. The others being kind of more contained, kind of semi realistically done cop films. Kind of. Because he's a private detective. Um, but in this one, it kind of turns into Black James Bond, and I'm kind of into it. I'm into it changing up the pace a bit and being kind of a different genre. Um, I think Richard Roundtree does a good job with this change of pace, and again, pretty much everybody in the film does good jobs. I can't remember any really terrible actors. This is the most violent of the three for sure. Um, some pretty decently violent shit happens. Um, this isn't a spoiler, but the there's a dog that gets like beaten up and it looks pretty realistic. I hope they didn't actually hurt this fucking dog because there's a bit where somebody is burying it and I'm like that looks way too realistic. If that's an effect, if that's a fucking prop, then good job to the props team because that was disturbing. But again, this movie has to do with a human trafficking ring in Africa. And that's going into Paris. This guy is like using these. I'm pretty sure they're all black slaves. Um, because it's while I do say it's the least racially motivated one, it does tackle something that you'd expect to have a lot of commentary about race relations and all that, which it doesn't really. And I'm glad for that. I'm glad that it just chose to be a movie. Um, but there I actually like that they chose to change it up because the first two films really didn't have, even though like the second film alright. I don't mind Shaft's big score, but it did have an ounce of sameness to the first film. It felt like, oh, we got a bit of a bigger budget. Let's kind of do the same movie over again, even though it's a bit of a different genre or a bit of a different type of movie. Instead of noir, it's a revenge film. But the thing about Shafted Africa is it feels a lot more fresh. It feels like they're like, you know what? We're just gonna go for straight up entertainment, and I like that they did that. It's it's a fun watch. Um, I will say the runtime could be cut down a little bit, and even though I was impressed with the ending stint of Big Score, like the last 15 minutes being a big long action scene, I think this film did that better by having the action kind of sprinkled through randomly. I think that made it feel like it wasn't as long as it was, even though it could have a few minutes cut from it. But overall, it does feel like something kind of new to the series. It's a bit of spice. Um, yeah, there's not really much I'm able to say. I know I'm really screwing this up. Um, yeah, I'm struggling. I'm really struggling here. Um, I do think that what oh yeah, the music. The music is better somehow. That uh I like the opening theme. Johnny Pate or Pate. Good opening song. Oh. And just overall I liked the kind of African themes to the music. It did give it a bit of a fresh feeling. That's what I'd say about this movie. Overall it's fresh compared to the first and second, which again, I don't mind the second. I think it's decent. But especially fresh compared to the first film, which felt like just every other noir film that takes forever to get where it's going and then doesn't really pay off at the end. Because there are other noir films that I've actually really enjoyed. I guess you could call a film like Gotcha from '85 neo noir, but like I don't understand a lot of films in this genre just being like, you know what, we're gonna have pretty much nothing happen until the last 10 minutes of the movie. And for Shaft, it was pretty much nothing happening until the last 2 minutes of the movie. But yeah, I'm glad these films have learned from their issues from the beginning, at least in my opinion, and, delivered something really entertaining with the third one. But yeah, not much else I can say. I guess I'll try and watch the other two in the series after this. But yeah, that was my review of Shaft in Africa. If you have seen the film, let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you have any requests, put them in the comments as well. And movie reviewer next door out.